story of Peyton Place. Starring Dorothy Malone as Constance Mackenzie, Ed Nelson as Michael Rossi, Mia Farrow as Allison Mackenzie, Ryan O'Neill as Rodney Harrington, Barbara Parkins as Betty Anderson, Tim O'Connor as Elliot Carson, Christopher Connolly as Norman Harrington.
Martin Peyton has reached a decision. He has spent a lifetime guarding the doors of the past, only to find they have been pried open. And now, Betty Cord stands on the threshold of the truth, and he must block her way at any cost.
Good morning, Betty.
Mrs. Cord?
Mr. Peyton is waiting to speak to you.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please.
Have you, had your medicine?
That can wait. I think we agree that there are more important things to take care of.
Yes.
Thank you, Mrs. Cord.
I'd like Mrs. Cord to stay. She is a part of it.
You think there's a giant conspiracy going on here, don't you? Well, you're right. There has been for almost 30 years. 28 years, to be exact.
Why?
Survival.
Whose?
Yours now, as well as Stephen's.
Stephen, your son.
No.
Is Brian Colby his father?
Yes. And his name is Cord. Brian Cord, not Brian Colby.
Why didn't you tell him? Your own son, why deny him his father?
I couldn't.
He left almost immediately after Stephen and Anne were born.
And you let him take your daughter.
We had no choice.
So you let Stephen believe that you were his father?
Not deliberately. I knew how he must be torturing himself, but I never knew how much until the day of the wedding. He had too much pride to ask me, and I loved him for it. You've seen many sides of me, Betty, since you started to work here. Few, if any, have been pristine. I make no excuses. I have none. Except that all my life I worked toward one end, and not the one you might think. Money, power, position have had their importance, yes, but not in themselves. They mean nothing unless they ensure a tradition, a continuity. I've kept silent all these years to protect those who have to live long after me. My heirs, Betty, all of them.
Stephen.
Yes, Stephen is one of my heirs.
Then why not tell him? Tell him that he means something to you.
How long have you suspected something? A week? A month? Can you, in your impatient youth, contemplate what 28 years mean? In minutes? Hours? Days? Do you think that if it were a matter of just telling the truth, I'd have carried this burden alone all these years?
What does your daughter have to do with this?
What?
Brian Cord painted Catherine's portrait. Stephen found the sketches after he died.
Oh, that happened long before all this.
Well, then tell me something. Tell me, why was that portrait slashed? Then taken down and hidden?
Do you think we're trying to hurt Stephen?
Hannah, you're like a little girl, Betty, playing with matches. If you burn yourself, everyone weeps for you. But if by accident you burn the house down, your foolishness hurts not only yourself, but everyone who lives in that house. Stephen, perhaps the worst.
Tell me how, why?
If you knew, would you tell him?
I don't know.
And yet you expect me to give you a loaded gun, not knowing whether you'll pull the trigger or even in what direction you'll point it.
I just want to help him.
Even if it destroys him and his marriage?
I'm doing just that by not telling Stephen everything I know. Mrs. Cord has been helping by telling him lies about Rod and me.
Do you think Mrs. Cord would risk her son's happiness and your marriage if there weren't a great deal at stake?
I love him, Betty.
You're filled with confused and painful questions, Betty. But believe me, the answers are more painful. It hasn't been easy for Mrs. Cord or me, but we knew what those answers could do to him. We kept silent, no matter how much it seemed to hurt him.
And you want me to trade my marriage for Stephen's happiness? Well, I'm selfish enough to believe that they're both the same thing.
Betty, I hope you love him as much as you say you do. As much as Mrs. Cord and I do. Do you?
Yes.
Then you've made your decision, haven't you? You'll keep silent, just as we have, for Stephen's sake, won't you?
Yes.
Thank you.
Don't thank me. I'm not doing this for you, or you. Only for Stephen.
We're all doing it for Stephen.
We're together, Betty. All of us. For the next 28 years, if need be.
Hi, Connie.
Hello, Michael.
Well, what have you got here? Some souvenirs of quaint old New England?
Of course.
Oh, well, look at that.
Is there something special, or are you just browsing?
Well, a little bit of both, really. I thought maybe I'd come around and get a book to read. Though I don't know when I'd have time to read it.
You know, if you have a free evening, you have to come to dinner and see the nursery. Now, how long have you been promising?
Actually, I'm kind of waiting around to see the new occupant. When will that be, huh?
Oh, about the second week in September.
Oh.
Isn't this lovely?
Well, yeah, I guess so. Not really a paperweight man myself, although actually I was kind of looking for a gift for someone.
Oh, for a lady?
Yes.
Well, I wasn't going to sell this, but no lady could resist it.
Oh? Well, I'll take that. Will you wrap it for me?
All right. Who's the lady?
Well, it's Ann Howard. She lost her job at the hospital. Dr. Morton had to fire her. He had warned her not to go to see Chris Webber, and she felt she had to talk to him, so, well, I suppose he did the only thing he could do under the circumstances. She's, kind of looking for a job and a friend. Oh, hi.
Say, Mike.
Hello, Ellie.
Connie. Go ahead.
I thought maybe that, you might be needing someone to help you out, until the baby is born, maybe for a little while afterwards.
Well, I suppose I will.
Oh, that's swell, Connie. Now, it won't look as if we created a job for her or anything. I know there may be some uplifted eyebrows in Peyton Place, but I don't think you'll lose any of your regular customers.
Mike, I'm not sure that Ann Howard's the right person. You speak of her needing a friend, and yet you tell me that Dr. Morton was justified in firing her. I know nothing about the girl except her past, but I just don't think it'll work.
Oh, thanks. Will you put this on my bill? Well, Connie, I was hoping you'd think about it a little bit. Bye.
So long, Mark. Oh, what did Mike want put on his bill?
My paperweight.
The paper? Well, that was an expensive sop for your conscience, huh?
Of course, you'd have hired her.
No. Well, it's your bookstore. You run it your own way. I'll run the Clarion.
Oh, Elliot.
I don't want to tell you what to do.
You don't have to. It's written all over you. You want me to be a good Samaritan and take Ann Howard under my wing and give her a job and all the rest of it. I suppose if you bully me enough, I probably will.
Oh, Chris, you were right. Today is much too lovely to waste in the library. Yeah, when you want some iced coffee.
Are there any clouds?
nice little fleecy ones just above the horizon.
And the gulls are soaring. Hey, that fella just dived down, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Did he catch anything?
I think so. He's looking very pleased with himself.
I know that look. In the summer when I was little, Dad used to get up about 1 day a week, extra early, to take me fishing for an hour or so before he had to go to work.
Did your brother go with you?
Generally, it was just Dad and me. I remember the last time we came before my accident. We got here just about sunup. It was an old fishing smack, heading out of the harbor. The sun caught her sails, and they looked like they were on fire.
Must have been beautiful.
I told Dad that's what I wanted for my birthday, a toy sailboat with bright red sails. He gave it to me, too. At least he said the sails were red. I never saw them.
But you had fun with it anyway.
I couldn't sail it, but I carried it everywhere. Until Lee stepped on it and broke it.
Broke it? Not on purpose.
So Wharf holds so many memories for me, Allison. I couldn't leave without saying goodbye to her.
Leave?
I'm going back to Boston.
When, Chris?
Soon. I just wanted to come here one last time. With you. I hope you don't mind me saying that.
You make it sound like forever. You'll be back, won't you?
No, this time it's for good.
It's not because of Anne Howard, is it?
Let's not talk about that.
Chris, this is your home. You can't let anybody drive you away.
Anne isn't what's driving me. I've just had it. I'm tired of being hovered over, being smothered and protected. I want to make a life of my own. I guess that sounds childish and ungrateful.
No. I think when people love you, they try to make up for things. Sometimes they try too hard.
Much too hard. I've had 17 years of Lee trying to make up for things. It's time we were both free.
You'll miss him.
Lee has Sandy, and I have my cane. We'll both find our way. Allison, is there a chance that when I leave, you can ride on the bus with me up to Boston?
Oh, you'll manage without me. As you say, you have your magic wand here.
Score 1 point for Miss Mackenzie. But even my magic white wand has its limitations.
Oh, you admit it, then?
It can find me a bench like this one, but it can't tell me if the gull caught the fish. Or read to me or pour me iced coffee.
Do you want some iced coffee now?
Now, and on the bus, and on a picnic at the Boston Common.
They'll probably have a sign that says, keep off the grass.
I won't be able to read it. And you can close your eyes and let me lead you. Would you come, Allison?
Okay, Chris. I'll come.